I was really excited to hear the theme of this conference in regards to craft, because it's given me an opportunity to talk about something that's, had this sense of urgency to talk about it, because I felt recently overwhelmed by everything. So I want to talk about information. Let's talk about books. Remember those? Who reads books anymore, right? These are the book numbers published per year in the United States. So we had 300,000 books, individual unique ISBN numbers published in 2003. By 2007, that number jumped to 411,000 books published per year. That jumped, again, just 2 years later, up to over 1 million, which is pretty wild. Then we jump 2 years ahead, and that jumps to 3 million. And it's estimated that by the end of this year, 15 million books will be published. What that translates to is that 10% of all the books ever published in the existence of time, I'm pretty sure it's had quite a history too, a couple millennia or something like that, right? Will be published this year. 10%. Photos. 300 million photos are uploaded to Facebook every single day. 5 million photos are uploaded to Instagram every single day. 4.5 million are uploaded to Flickr every single day. An artist actually in Amsterdam not that long ago, right up the road, Eric Kessels, printed out a day's worth of Flickr photos and put them in an art gallery, and you could just see it filled the room. Imagine if you did it with Facebook, right? So all of these images are contributing to the 3.5 trillion photos that have ever been taken. And here's that same number again. 10% of all of those photos, of that 3.5 trillion, were taken last year. In the existence of all photography, a 200-year history of the medium, were taken last year. Just to sort of show you the trajectory, right? This is sort of, just early 2000s. Video. The average US household now receives 118 channels. Back in the 60s, it was something like 12, right? 72 hours of video are uploaded to YouTube every single minute. 4 billion hours of YouTube video are watched every single month. This is nuts. 32.7% of all internet bandwidth is consumed by Netflix. Shit. 571 websites are created every single minute. 347 new WordPress blog posts are created every single minute. Over 27,000 Tumblr posts are created every single minute. 500 million tweets every single day. 2.5 billion things are put on Facebook every single day. And all of this contributes to the 667 exabytes. Have you even heard that term before? I didn't, so I started doing this. But I wrote it out in bytes just because, holy shit, just look at all those zeros. But this is what's flowing all over our pipes. We're actually creating so much information that we've run out of storage capacity to hold it all. So this is my very unscientific chart. Here's, I try, right? But this is the timeline of humanity, and as you can see, there's not much going on for a while. And then all of a sudden, whoop, and we get up to present day. But the way that things are going, this is the prediction, right? We're just getting to a point where it's just straight up from here. The amount of information is just, we're at the very beginning of all of this. We're like where the universe was a second after the Big Bang happened, right? And just but there's a long way to go. If you look at it, the internet still reaches only 2.4 billion people. That means that 4.5 billion people still don't have access to the web. Does that blow your mind? That blows my mind. It really does. And of course, Moore's Law is still very much in effect. That means that processors are getting faster and storage capacity is getting cheaper, which gives us more capabilities, more opportunities to create more information. This is Instagram's CEO. He's saying we're getting to a point where we're understanding how to allow people to produce more content every single day, talking about making their app faster and more intuitive, right? I feel like I can't even scratch my ass anymore without creating some content. This is what I'm talking about, right? You guys familiar with this concept? Biscuits. Right? This is how I feel right now.
Stop it! Who are you? I don't even know you. Go away, mister.
Are you okay? Yeah.
You okay? Yeah. What's the problem? I feel like this kid. I feel like I'm just getting fire hosed in the face with all of this information, with all of this data, with all of this stuff. These are my browser tabs on any given day. Does anybody have something comparable? Yeah, there we go. I'm not alone in this. I shared this online, and some people were like, holy shit, what is wrong with you? How do you get anything done? Then this other guy's like, that's nothing. These are my tabs. I'm going to zoom in on this just because it's amazing. So these are his tabs. And these 2-pixel wide little bumps, these little fingernails, are all tabs. And what he said after that was even more amazing. He said, this is just one of 3 windows that I have. It's ridiculous. So once upon a time, we had to seek information out, right? We had to get up off of our asses. We had to travel somewhere, go to a library, and we had to pick out a book, and we had to check it out for a finite period of time, and then we actually had to read the thing, right? That's a lot of work, right? Now we just can't escape it. We don't have to seek information out anymore. It comes to us. I found this video that I think sort of sums that up nicely, so let's take a look at this. Going on like that for a while, and he falls down some stairs and stuff. This is like a day in the office for me, right? This is life. This is what we're living through right now, right? And we have to deal with this. The term information overload was first sort of introduced in 1970. Before shit really got real, right? It was ridiculous. But I'm not much of a stat geek. I mean, all this stuff just blows my mind, but I really think that the most important stat of all is that the number of hours in the day does not change, right? We still have 24 hours in a day. That's like 4.8 5-hour energy every day. Even that is a futile effort because, it's still not enough, right? We can't deal with this anymore, right? We're like this, right? How do we cope with this? How many of you guys know somebody that's not on Facebook or Twitter because they're just like, it's just too much. I know that it's just that's one method, right? There's also this sort of emerging cottage industry of digital detox and stuff like that. Trips out west and you throw your phone in a bin and you learn how to be a human being again. It's crazy. So with the rise of all this information is a tremendous rise in the amount of bullshit in this world. And it's something that I can't help but notice. And so I'm going to define bullshit in a couple different ways: superfluous, unnecessary, cluttered, clunky, needlessly complex, intentionally deceptive or insincere, and of course, the excrement of an adult male bovine mammal. Can't leave that one out. So I'm going to get my rant pants on and just sort of go through some of these things. Paper is bullshit. In 2012, paper is bullshit. Anytime you find yourself filling out paperwork, you should be in your mind saying, this is absolute bullshit. Because somewhere along the lines, somebody is entering that into a computer, right? I actually found this online, and I actually think it's legit, but the title of the paper is Paperwork Reduction Act Submission. A little bit ironic, all right? Jargon is bullshit. My colleagues at work, before I moved to Pittsburgh, we actually kept tabs on all the sort of bullshit marketing speak that we heard. Things like drivers and caveats and, where are we netting out on these blah, 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 F-commerce. Like, F-commerce is an actual term, believe it or not. It's ridiculous. Citibank just laid off 4% of their workforce. And this was their statement. Citigroup today announced a series of repositioning actions that will further reduce expenses and improve efficiency across the company while maintaining Citi's unique capabilities to serve clients, especially in the emerging markets. These actions will result in increased business efficiency, streamlined operations, and optimized consumer footprint across geographies. So the author sort of summed this up, right? It's ridiculous. Sensationalism is bullshit. I actually believe that these 24-hour news stations are some of the most detrimental institutions in culture today, period. People go to them. Thank you. People go to them and rely on them to provide them objective news and information. This is how they receive their information. And instead they're met with sensationalism and sort of, contrived arguments and controversy, resulting in a very divisive sort of worldview between things. If they spent half the amount of time they spent spitting venom, on real constructive conversation about the real problems that our world is really facing, we'd be in a much better place. End rant. Opportunism is bullshit. I stumbled onto this, and I really don't know what else to call it, but it's bullshit through and through. I really don't have commentary on this. It's staggering to me. QR codes are bullshit. On a lighter note, if anybody's visited the bathroom today, you might have seen a QR code. I sure did. QR codes on bananas. Like us. I know, that's why I bought you. And now I'm going to eat you. This is for bed bugs with not one, not two, but 3 separate apps for bed bugs. And I was actually on the train, this is in the New York subway system. A guy actually tried to scan the code as he was walking out the door. Of course, it wouldn't scan right away. The doors were open, he was holding everybody up. Not only is it underground, so you're not going to be able to even get a signal and open a web page in general, you're also alerting an entire train, hey, I have a bed bug problem. Nice one. That's a billboard. And submitted without comment. There's visual noise. I'm a firm believer that technology is neutral, right? You know, it's a bold task to try to bridge the physical digital divide or whatever. But I mean, shit. Ugh. Interruptions are bullshit. I feel like I can't open a web page anymore without this happening to me. Does anybody else feel like this? I feel like this all the time. It's just like, sign up for a newsletter. I just got to your website. I don't even know like if you're even worth paying attention to, right? Here's some other shit. I don't even know what's going on. Oh, this one, ABC, instead of actually showing you an article, they want you to download some 3D globe world news spinny thing. It's like, okay, yeah, that's great. I'm not one for like the sort of royal politics or anything like that, but you know, the baby thing happened, it's a pretty big deal. And so I'm like, well, let me read the article, let's see what's going on. And so I scroll down, and I get 2 paragraphs in, and it says, acute morning sickness, what is it? With a link out to another article. It's just like, this is real, right? And then I scroll down further, and I run into 3 other things, like injected right into the middle of an article. That's not reading. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's not reading. Cruft is bullshit. This is an average web page. It's not necessarily the best, but it's not necessarily the worst either. This highlighted area is the only reason anybody on earth would ever visit this page, right? Yet look at the little window that it gets on the screen, in case that isn't explicit enough, right? Feedback, right? This happens to me all the time. It's like, yes, I do have feedback. There's a goddamn feedback button following me wherever I go. And then you start reading an article, and all of a sudden these social buttons go, ooh, you're reading an article? I want to come too. It doesn't leave you alone. And then you scroll a little further, you get to the bottom of the page, and then it's like, hey, yeah, I'm here too. Please subscribe for our stuff. And it's just like, and you get to the end, and it's just like over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's just ridiculous. Ugh. Slowness is bullshit. This is Louis C.K. on the matter.
Because this is what people are like now. They got their phone and they're like, it won't. Give it a second. It's going to space. Can you give it a second to get back from space? Is the speed of light too slow for you? Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, I actually think that it's one of the best pieces of social commentary of our generation, just period, that whole clip. But, you know, I talk about, you know, you tend to get asked what you do for a living, and I say, oh, I work in mobile, and people go, oh, you work in mobile? Facebook sucks. Like it's my fault or something. Ridiculous. And they're not saying that, you know, why are they saying this? Like, they're not saying it because the navigation is unintuitive, or that, you know, the timeline redesign thing wasn't nice and elegant. They're saying it because it was slow as crap, right? That's why they had to redesign. It's just because it's slow as crap. This is actually me trying to click on a link to Fast Company, and preloader, change color, preloader, oh, info. Just look at that. Well, I'll do it one more time, just because like the amount of work going into just sort of serving up a web page is just, you know, how crazy is that? Is that really necessary? I don't know. Lack of access is bullshit in this day and age, right? Too many of us still think of the web on these mobile devices as sort of the web light, as something less than the real web, right? This is the current state of affairs. The page you're trying to visit is not available on our full HTML website, right? Follow My Health currently requires a desktop browser. A mobile version will be available soon, giving us that false sense of hope, right? It's like, please, soon? Is it there yet? No? Okay. No Doritos. This isn't available for mobile users. No, this gallery is not supported. This story you're trying to access is not supported on mobile devices. Looks like you're using an unsupported browser, even though you're using a perfectly capable Android device. Pizza Hut. Right? Slavery Footprint, which is actually a really noble website about lots of good information about, how we're, using slave labor inadvertently. It says this site is designed for blah, 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 standard desktops, laptops, blah, 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 some long-winded excuse. This one's great. This website contains media too rich for your mobile browser. I can't be bothered with you, peasant device. Be gone. Right? This is actually a Google mobile web initiative, which is pretty amazing. It says, alternately, we suggest checking out the site on your tablet if you have one. I don't know what you call that, but I'm pretty sure it's a tablet. This one is still my favorite. This page has to be ideally opened on your laptop or desktop browser. Once you have this link on your computer, then you will have a QR code to the URL that needs to be opened on your device. Spam is bullshit. This is Jeremy Keith. Says, reporting promoted tweets as spam because, well, that's what they are. Right? We've now gotten used to the idea of email spam and stuff like that, but now we're sort of getting them in all these different mediums on Facebook, on Twitter. Has anybody gotten an SMS spam message? Yeah? Does it feel like just somebody broke into your house and went over to your bed and just punched you in the face? It's like a huge invasion of privacy. It's like, whoa, that's supposed to be a safe zone. Right? Anti-patterns are bullshit. There's a really fantastic site called Dark Patterns made by Harry Brignall of Clear Left that sort of highlights all the sort of deceptive practices that a lot of sites will use to either get you to click on something or not. This is Fab, which, is this over here? Is this like a thing? Right? So people will share a thing on Fab and they'll say, oh, this is really cool. I'll click on the link and this is what I get, right? It's this overlay. The only way you could close the overlay to actually view the content that your friend was talking about is to enter your email address. That is shitty, right? That is just dirty. Once again, here's Google, though. This is Google's Blogger mobile optimized theme, and you scroll down the page and you're trying to read, and I was trying to read this article, and what I noticed is that if I move my thumb 10 pixels to the right or to the left, first it brings up these little arrows, and without you ever even taking your thumb off of the device, it will load a new page. And so I tried to do this I was trying to read an article, and I kept getting redirected to these different pages. And then as I look up, I say, oh, what's that thing at the top there? That's an ad. That's some bullshit right there. That's some serious bullshit. That's dirty stuff. Speaking of advertising is bullshit. The one dude's like, yeah. Right? This is, again, I can't visit a website anymore without seeing one of these things. But this is Mark Bolton weighing in. He says, when was the last time you felt emotionally moved by an online ad or compelled to buy something or discussed an ad with your peers? I spend a lot of time, just sort of in the nature of the biz sort of, tangential to these people, and they live in a fantasy world. They actually talk like this. They're like, 99% of people share ads with their friends. They're like, oh, cool, check this out. The Onion this is one of my favorite articles. He's like, hey, everybody, this cool new Tide detergent video is blowing up all over the internet. And it's just like, I'm totally going to share this with everybody, blah, blah, blah. And then here's Forbes. And this is just an image gallery. And, has your basic previous and next buttons. So you click on these. There's Bono, hi. And then you click into it. There's Barbara Walters with 3 new ads. You click again. There's 3 more ads. You click again. There's 3 more ads, as well as some stupid shit in the bottom right corner, which I don't even know what that is. Like, not even fully on the page. I don't know. And you go even further, and then they added a 4th one on Oprah's screen, right? She's ultra popular, so therefore more ads. I'm not here to discuss, ads are a necessary evil or whatever, but if you were to give anyone the option whether or not they would want to, receive an ad experience or not have ads, 100% of people would say, yeah, I could do without those, right? I've never heard anybody say, oh, I love ads, right? So this is just only some of the bullshit. I could go all day. I mean, look at me. I'm like, yeah. Well, I could go on that all day. But really what this comes down to, this increased amount of bullshit, is, corresponds with Sturgeons Law, which was made by a science fiction author who was asked the question, said, why is 90% of science fiction writing, crappy? And he's like, well, if you think about it, 90% of everything is crappy. And that's especially true with this whole fire hose of information. If you think about the 72 hours of video uploaded to YouTube every day, how many is Grammy or Emmy award-winning stuff, right? Material. There's actually blogs dedicated to the sort of bottom of the barrel. This is 0 views, which highlights, things with 0 views. Regretsy, which highlights a bunch of Etsy fails. And if you're looking for a Christmas present for me, there's an old man's head handbag. It looks quite attractive. Shit starter, highlighting failed Kickstarter campaigns, right? So, Jack White, and if you guys have seen the documentary, it might get loud, I highly recommend it, but he talks about sort of technology being this thing that we need to overcome. The convenience of technology just makes it so easy to make stuff anymore that, we're just getting lazy, right? We just are we've evolved to this point wherever any one of us right now, right this second, could fire up a laptop and have a website live in 2 minutes. That's both a blessing and a curse, right? So, how do we combat this, right? The theme of this whole conference is craft. I mean, craft. Sorry. All right. Craftsman. A wise man once said a couple hours ago. Right? One who gives a shit, right? That is a craftsperson. It's important to focus on this craft because, people's capacity for this bullshit is just rapidly diminishing, right? We have 24 hours in the day, and we can't be subjected to all this noise, right? The author of The Information, it's a fantastic book, he said, when information is cheap, attention becomes expensive. So this is the basic equation for a signal-to-noise ratio, right? And what we as human beings are trying to do is to maximize our signal and minimize the amount of noise that we're exposed to, right? And what that means for us as creators is that, we need to rise above the sort of superficiality and the convenience that everything provides, in this day and age, and actually create something that's sincere, that we actually care about, that is worthwhile putting into this world. And a lot of it comes down to respect, right? Respecting ourselves, respecting our craft, but more importantly, is respecting our users' time, right? There's a lot of presumptions, in any project I work on, they're like, well, of course the user is going to spend, 15 minutes on our site, and of course they're going to, fill out every single available option, and yeah, I'm going to connect with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Pinterest, and we're going to roll it all together and serve them up this personalized platter on a plate. And, we have to respect that people are probably coming to our website to get something done and get on with their lives, right? Right? In regards to jargon and buzzwords and shit. We need to, talk to people like they're people because they are people. I wrote that out as like a note, and I'm like, well, that actually sort of makes a little sense. Right. Great Alyssa Part article from Hannah Donovan, who used to work at Last.fm and made This Is My Jam, where she talks about sort of this inundation of data and this stuff, and really about how hard it is for us to sort of find the bits that are really worthwhile, right? How do we elevate this stuff to the top that we really want, that is really good and genuine and sincere and worthwhile and worth our attention, right? And thankfully, we're getting good at this, because it would be completely unbearable if we had to be exposed to all the noise. But we're getting better at filtering through the content, right? Just little things, little interface features that we see all over the web. The like button, the favorite button, ups and down arrows, right? Just stuff like that is helping us basically collectively determine what's worth our attention and what's worth skipping. I do think that we need to start focusing. We can't be all things to all devices. The Future-Friendly Manifesto says it really great. Says people are increasingly tired of excessive noise and are finding ways to simplify things for themselves. Focus your service before your customers, and increasing diversity do it for you. So if you don't like your reading experience on the web, you could use a tool like Readability or Instapaper or Safari Reader or Flipboard to have a much more enjoyable reading experience. If you don't like ads, Adblock Plus. If you don't like TV commercials, skip through it with TiVo or your DVR or whatever. If you can't find the information you're looking for, or the process is just so clunky, go on. I'm not suggesting this, but I'm saying it's an available option, right? Go on Pirate Bay or go on BitTorrent. That's what's happening. I mean, again, I'm not making the suggestion. It's just reality. And there's a period of time, people will suffer through it. People will try to dig out the good in you, or what your service is, or what your product is, or whatever. They will try to get to it. But all of these are sort of stopgaps, because eventually, your service will just be forgotten. It'll be lost in the ocean of noise. And the things that, have the craft, that things that, take this stuff into account, and really respect users, are going to be the things that get interacted with. This is Simple, which is like a new way of banking, and they're basically promising to leave all the old crusty processes of these big monolithic banks in the dust. I also want to talk about Craigslist, because I love Craigslist. I love the design of Craigslist. There we go, shoot me now. I'm saying it. What I love about Craigslist and its shitty design is that, you're focusing on all the right things, right? You're not distracted by visual flourishes or whatever. You're after information, and it's providing that information to you. They're number 43 on the top 100 most visited sites around, and they've been around for 16 years. Do you think that they've had a little time and a little money to revise their site, right? They know what they're doing. And I think that it's important for us to sort of take these lessons to heart, because, too often I call them beautiful pieces of shit, wherever we create these wonderful things, but they just don't do anything, and there's so much distraction in the interface that we can't actually get to what's behind it. That's really, really important, that, we need to understand that, yes, our craft involves, visual beauty, but if the content, if the functionality, if the the just basic accessibility isn't there, is that stuff worth it? It's also important to say, because I've gotten this before, where people say, oh, what, so you want everybody to just make single-page sites with one column on them? No. That's not what we're talking about, right? There's a difference between focusing on what's meaningful and what's good, and making something that's intentionally stripped down and bare and, sort of half-ass. Beyond that, the other thing that I hear a lot of whenever I say, oh yeah, I work in mobile, oh, I got a great idea for an app. My grandma says that. Not really, but that'd be pretty cool. I'd be like, let's talk, Grandma. But, right, too often right now, especially right now, and again, think back to that Fast Company video where, there's all these bells and whistles happening and preloaders loading over other preloaders and stuff like that. We have this sort of fascination with the new and the shiny, right? We have so many HTML5 tools, we have native apps, we have all of this stuff that we get distracted by the available channels that are there right now. But what we need to do is we need to sort of go back to basics, right? Instead of focusing on a specific channel first, we have to focus on, having a great idea first. Everything else will fall into place, right? Stephanie Rieger has a beautiful, beautiful quote about this where they said, "The most valued products will be designed to live beyond the device, context, and technology that they were originally intended for." And we're already seeing that. Right? We have Netflix, which began its life as a website, but now it's on over like 6,000 devices or something like that, right? And we have the Amazon Kindle, which, yes, is its own little piece of plastic, but it also has iOS apps, Android apps, you name it, a web reader, all of that stuff. What these things aren't, products that exist in a certain context. These are ideas, right? I want to make it easy for people to watch movies, period. I want it to make it easy for people to download and read and purchase ebooks, period. Right? The technology will come and go, but as long as the idea remains intact, then you'll be able to transition a lot easier. Other advice is to be original, right? And I think that the other speakers did a great job of sort of covering this, but it's really, really easy to be derivative in this day and age. This is actually a site called Wait, What Does Your Startup Do? And it's a random name generator that basically spits out two different things, and so you could create your own startup pretty easily. So LinkedIn for baristas. Right? So sincerity, originality, focus, love what we're doing. I believe that now is the time for all of this. I've gotten the question before, said, if you could live at any point in time in history, from present all the way back to, through ancient times or whatever, where would you live? Where would you go? And to answer that question sincerely, I would live right here, right now, right this second. Period. Hands down. Not once, never before in the existence of all humanity has it been possible for one person or one group to impact the lives of many. Right? This is mobile and this is the web right now. We have 6 billion mobile subscribers on this earth right now. Or I should say subscriptions because they're not evenly distributed, right? A lot of people have multiples. And we have this thing, the web, which again reaches 2.4 billion people. And what's so exciting to me is that, this is what's happening right here. We have this sort of growth and this increasing overlap between these two mediums. And thinking back, if I was to live in a different generation, if we were all to live in a different generation, we might have had the opportunity to work on, in radio, or in the early days of TV, or something like that, or, we were a telegraph operator or something. But here we have easily two of humanity's greatest achievements, and we're working right in between them, right where that overlaps. I can't think of a better problem to have, to think of a better place to be. So, these new mediums and they provide us this opportunity that has never before existed, right? I was talking earlier about, with the guys that made the website for this conference, and they're saying, oh, we read some of your articles, and they created something way better than I'd ever be able to do. But just the idea that, you could write something and somebody on the other side of the world takes it, hits the ground running with it, and creates something, way better than you'd ever imagine, it blows my mind. It really does. I'll tell one more story. Like easily I'd say my biggest accomplishment in my career is Aids.gov, which is a site in the U.S., right? Like the sort of official, HIV awareness and prevention and all the resources and information about HIV and AIDS awareness controlled by our government. They recently launched a nice responsive site. And there was an interview with one of the project managers, and was basically quoting more or less some of the stuff that I was saying, and not credited directly, but I'm like, that struck me as something truly unbelievable, because here I am, I'm making makeup websites. Who the hell am I? But we are here. We have this tremendous opportunity to share with one another, to put something out into the world, right? To create something that's truly meaningful and sincere and beautiful. And, we have a decision to make, right? Do we care about craft and sincerity and all that is good, or do we want to take the shortcuts? Do we want to, cut corners and just contribute to the noise? So, Sturgeons Law, do we want to be on the 10% or the 90%? The decision is yours. Thank you.